Well, hello, my friends. Hope you're all well. It's raining again, so I'm back at my desk. Usually in the morning I'm writing, reading, and in the evening as well. So, when it's sunny, I get to go out, or when I'm in Lisbon or whatever. Um, I just wanted to spend a quick second talking a little bit about my own experience with philosophy. So I grew up fortunate enough to have had a mother who owned a travel business, and this was back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. So I had the great privilege of being able to travel when I was a child. I also had family in Ireland, so between Colorado and Ireland, I had different experiences growing up, cultural experiences. Um, I had a decent public education. I went to a good high school. Read a lot of books as a young person. Um, yeah, I was interested in philosophy and literature for some reason. And as a teenager, you get exposed to Jack Kerouac and Hermann Hesse. At least I did. All kinds of classics, and Nietzsche, and the rationalists, and romantic poets like Byron, and of course Shakespeare. And then you read some history books, and your teacher makes you subscribe to the New Republic, and you read newspapers and whatnot. And basically, growing and traveling and always having a book in my bag, there was always something to think about, something to talk to other people about. Literature was a good thing to talk to people about back when I was young, before we had devices in our pockets and social media and whatnot. So you kind of had to curate your own experience. And I was a wanderer. Um, when I was younger, I was very mystical in my thinking. Uh, it's it brings to mind a lot of different things, though. But the bottom line kind of consideration, or the bottom line aspect that I wanted to communicate was that as you read and grow and learn things, either from formal education or from your own whatever you bump into in life that you're interested in learning. And I'm not of the academy. I'm not a pedagogue. I have no specialized academic training or anything like that. So, there are limits to my understanding of things. And of course, when the web came around, I got access to more things that I was interested in, and that's a great thing. But one tends to internalize one's interests and reading. It doesn't all just stay in, working memory all the time. And you're constantly overriding your memory. That's the way memory works. So there are shadows of all kinds of experiences with literature and philosophy, and experience and travel, and languages and whatnot. And they're all kind of mingled in there and mixed up. And they manifest themselves, become more in the front of your thinking from time to time, and then they recess and go back. And you keep covering them with more and more ideas and thoughts. It sounds complicated or complex, but it isn't. It's just a natural thing. And then you start to express yourself, and all these influences just come through in your thinking and your self-expression, your creativity, your work. And that's pretty natural, I think. That's just kind of normal. So, I wouldn't say that I belong to any particular school. I have my ideas about various schools. If you're studying economics for a while and you're looking at the Chicago school or the Austrian, or, you're looking at continental philosophy versus other things. yeah, you can compare and contrast things as you go along, which one does, obviously. And I was very interested in political philosophy from a young age. So you get all the Enlightenment thinking, and of course the classics, the Greeks and Romans and whatnot. And it all kind of mixes up and hangs around in there. And by the time I was very young, I'd say late teens, early 20s, I'd already formulated a kind of a personal philosophy or a way of thinking about things or approaching things. I was never dogmatic. I was never thinking that I was going to discover the truth or some system of truth or way of seeing things that I would adopt. So I went from one thing to another, seeing what's this like? You know, if I chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo for a while, what am I going to feel? If I do Zazen at the Zen Center, what am I going to feel? If I do Aikido for 8 years, what's that do to me? And I have my cycle, and I say, okay, I think I got what I need to get from it, and usually I get things that I didn't expect to get. So you might have a certain romantic idea of some Japanese discipline that you're interested in, and once you do it for a while, it changes. It's less romantic. Your preconceptions about the discipline kind of evaporate, and you now have an experience to reflect upon. And it's those experiences, making those choices to do this or do that, and experience them and delve into them as deeply as one can, or as deeply as you can, that provides a wonderful opportunity to be more creative and more free in one's life. At least for me, that's how it works. For a lot of people, it's not like that. Some people need to stick to a tradition. Like I just watched this travel show, The Reluctant Traveler, with this Levy actor from the States. And, you see the gondolier in Venice who comes from generations of gondoliers, who's working with his son, who's going to inherit a $60,000 gondola when his dad retires and be a gondolier, or being born on a grape vineyard, and inheriting that work, or learning a trade from your father or your mother or whatever. I think it's beautiful, and it's something that you look at and say, wow, that would have been a nice life. But of course, all of us have different lives, different backgrounds. We didn't choose them. We were born into them. And a lot of the, genes, epigenetics, emergence of traits over time through experience and so on, gradually make us who we are, more or less. And for some of us, we're more plastic, we're more flexible, more curious, more open to change. And of course, other people are more conservative. That's just the way things are. That's why, regardless of 19th century philosophy or 20th century philosophy or the new atheists or whatever one comes up with nowadays, it's an echo of all kinds of things that came before, and it never lands on the absolute answer to anything. It's very cyclical. So we think we've just sorted things out, and then it takes another turn and we're right back where we came from, but with new tools and technologies through which to experience these ideas. But at the bottom line, at the base of everything, we're just human beings. So the things that make us similar, there are more things that make us similar than that set us apart. And this works across culture and belief systems and whatever. So it's nice to keep that in mind if you can. And if you can't, well, that's, in my opinion, that's unfortunate. But for you, maybe it's just a natural way of things, and you're very comfortable in whatever position from which you view the world. You want to preserve it, hang on to it, that's great. So for me, sometimes I revisit books and I think, gosh, I was thinking like that when I was 17. And just the other day, I was talking to a friend, and I was basically talking through the voice of this author that I was enamored with way back when, or I'm basically talking a book that I'm reading at the moment, or something like that. And it all just kind of mixes up in my mind and my heart, my spirit, and it becomes this wonderful, uh, what would I say, universe room wherein lies a whole bunch of wonderful toys that I can play with. And those are ideas, thoughts, and feelings. And the real living space is in your brain. And, how you think about and relate to the world, and understanding that to a certain degree, you do have the freedom to choose how you look at the world and experience the world and deal with things in your life. Not complete control, but some control. So that's where I'm coming from. So if I start to just talk about weird things that maybe is unfamiliar to someone in the audience, maybe for other people who have read or experienced some similar things, they'll say, oh, Bulliam T is talking about this. But usually I try to put references in the videos when I listen to them, when I look at them and edit them, put some references in there so you know where I'm coming from, because it all sounds so, mangled or disjointed, because I'm not there to teach a specific thing, but just to share perspectives, ideas, thoughts, and feelings as they come to me. And if I have some other thing that I want to do, I'll usually write something and record that. But I wish I had more people to talk to and collaborate with, because I do so much better, I think, and I feel so much better in conversation, in relationships, than I do just like talking to myself or to a camera. So my philosophy is a lifelong thing. I think all children are curious and philosophers to a certain degree. We certainly know how to play when we're young, when we're children, and we may forget that along the way. If we're unlucky, we might be more concerned with fitting in than experiencing life authentically. And of course, a lot of this has to do with psychology. So, yeah, I could go on and on, so I won't. But that's basically it. Thank you for watching. Bulliam T out.